The barbell overhead press is the one move in your shoulder routine that you can just get rid of right now. Yes, you need to overhead press. It is a key part of training your shoulders, but no, you don't need to do it with the barbell. And doing it with the barbell, while it lets you load up with heavy weight, presents a lot of challenges and a lot of issues that just may not be worth it. So let's go over why we don't need to barbell press now.
The first reason why the barbell overhead press isn't the best option when it comes to shoulder pressing is because it puts us in a restrictive position. It forces us to focus on this bilateral press where our shoulders are locked into a single axis. And a lot of times it internally rotates the shoulder versus externally rotates, allowing us to stack those joints as we drive overhead. And especially as we go higher in that range of motion, that range or that position starts to look a little bit uglier.
You actually want to be in something called the scapular plane. The bar is going to try to get my wrists parallel to each other. That's where we start to invite that internal rotation. We have to learn this art, and it's something very advanced with any barbell exercise called breaking the bar, where we're actually trying to twist the bar in so we create that external rotation pressure. And that doesn't happen naturally. It doesn't happen easily. If I'm trying to overhead press, I just want the simplest overhead press where I can go heavy if I'm trying to really build my shoulders. And yes, you can get heavy with the barbell. By the time we've done all that gymnastics to learn that, I could have done a ton of other exercises that can get me there faster.
Talking about the range of motion, a lot of people have shoulder injuries or just probably not the healthiest shoulders in general. It just doesn't feel good. So they press into a position that feels good, and at the end of the day or at the end of the range, that position is no longer overhead and we're pressing out in front of us.
Most people, in theory, if we're pressing overhead, we want to make sure we have 180 degrees fully of shoulder flexion. And we've got to be able to do that without borrowing from leaning back. I've got to be able to do that with my rib cage nice and tight, my abs down. And if you don't have that, then you wind up in this unnatural pressing position that also puts a lot of stress on the rotator cuff joint, because you're in this overhead position pressing out front. You're gonna have to stress your rotator cuff joint, or you're gonna have to stress something else. What you wind up stressing, if your shoulders and your rotator cuffs can't take it, we wind up challenging our lower back. We wind up overarching our back and challenging our mid back. And that's where injuries can happen. And that's also where we're just not getting what we want out of the press at all.
And they always say injuries stem from other areas, right? So not being able to press that bar overhead, now we're creating injury or opening up the window for injury lower down our chain. And that's not what we're looking to do. We're trying to strengthen our shoulders, not break our back.
Exactly. There's no point in breaking your back. Now, it's good to work towards improving your range of motion. It's good to work towards eventually having the capability to press with overhead with the barbell. That doesn't mean you need to train it, especially because there are so many great options that will let you train your shoulders aggressively, let you train heavy, and don't have those injury risks. So let's go to those now.
The first alternative you can do besides the barbell shoulder press is the landmine press. So what that's gonna look like essentially is barbell, one end will be on the floor, the other part of the bar will be in our hand, the collar, and what we're doing is pressing out in front of us, more of an incline press and not 100% overhead. Majority of the population, when they press, it's going to be in that incline press anyway. So this is, again, allowing us to load that deltoid, the anterior head, get some stability in the shoulder, but still allow us to get those repetitions we want safely and securely.
Exactly. The landmine press winds up being the most customizable press because you can move your torso farther away from the load in order to make it a little bit easier, a little more shoulder friendly. As you start to get better, as your range of motion improves, then you can start to move closer to the landmine, and now you're going to start getting that more direct overhead action. So it's the best way to really get started with overhead pressing and start to understand how you need to move, start to understand the stability you need to create through your shoulder blade and the stability you need to create through your abs too. The next evolution, or the other way we can look at this, is with a very high incline. And when we say high incline, we mean as close to 90 degrees without getting there on the bench as possible, but a very high incline press. We still get that nice customizable press where we get to be a little bit out in front of our torso, but now we've changed how gravity is acting on us a little bit. And we get to really stack our joints and we get to focus on driving up against gravity. So it's going to be a little bit more of a consistent resistance throughout.
In this incline press, if we have a set of dumbbells, it'll force us in that scapular plane as if we were standing up and pressing. It'll still get us through that range, keeping the shoulder blades in position and having stability as we come through to the top. And that leads us into another option that's really useful. One, because it allows us to move a little bit more unilaterally through the position like we would in the dumbbell, but the technique with the kettlebell forces you into this external rotation, so it helps those that are really internally rotated when they're pressing. The weight on the kettlebell sitting outside the wrist is gonna pull us under our elbow, under the wrist a little bit more, and it's gonna allow us to just press in a better position overall.
Exactly, the kettlebell press to me is the optimal way to do an overhead press period, because like you said, we get essentially tipped into external rotation. It's forcing good form and it's gonna keep you out of bad form. And anytime we can get in that good form position while moving a heavy weight, and you can move some really heavy kettlebells once you get used to it, we're gonna be able to make the gains we want both in strength and in muscle. So that's the best way to train your shoulders, not the barbell overhead press. Leave the barbell overhead press for the Olympic athletes and power lifters. They need to do it. You have these alternatives, so go get it.